Today marks Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust Remembrance Day. And Holocaust Remembrance Day was commemorated at Yale by throwing water bottles at Jews. So things were going really well over at Yale last night. The Yale anti-Israel encampments are back. The Tentifada is back. They set up in response to a visit by Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is one of the furthest right ministers in the Israeli government. Around 200 people calling for the university cutting of financial ties with Israel erected tents in Beinecke Plaza on the anniversary of the first encampment, according to the Jerusalem Post. And there they set up checkpoints for Jews on the evening of Holocaust Remembrance Day, which starts at night in Israel. Just wonderful, wonderful people. By the way, I'm glad they're doing this because this is an excellent excuse for the Trump administration's Office of Civil Rights, led by Harmeet Dillon, to crack down on Yale and maybe start taxing its endowment or removing its federal funding. Because if Yale refuses to do anything about, like actually setting up checkpoints for Jews at the university, that is a violation of the Civil Rights Act in the same way it would be if whites set up a cordon to prevent black students from getting to certain parts of the campus. Here are these Yale protesters blocking Jews.
We will not stop, we will not rest this close. Divest. You can go around. We will not stop, we will not rest this close.
Our campus, public space.
He can only go around.
Divest.
Public. We will honor all our martyrs. We will honor all our martyrs. Fathers, fathers, sons and daughters. Fathers, fathers, sons and daughters. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine.
I mean, I will say they're good at chanting like robots. So that's exciting stuff. By the way, worth noting here, they're all masked. For those who can't see the footage, they are all masked using like N95s because they're some of the most pathetic people alive. All these people who would be immediately tossed off the top of buildings in the Gaza Strip if Hamas had its way, standing there and blocking Jews from getting to parts of campus on Holocaust. Good. I mean, I guess good for them. They've got the courage of saying the thing out loud. By the way, where do you think those chants are coming from? We are mourning all our martyrs. Who are there? Have you ever heard that sort of language from the left typically? Like if you're at a normal commie idiot rally, do they use the term martyrs? Or is that language that is coming directly from fans and allies of Hamas? There's only one group on planet Earth who talks like that, who speaks about martyrs in English like that. And that would be radical Islamists. Most people do not speak like that, particularly not in the United States of America. And there's more footage of protesters blocking Jews and tossing water bottles at Jews and all the rest of it.
Palestine! Whoa,
This is my space too. I want to walk through my space. This is my space.
There are Jewish students saying they just want to walk through this part of campus, and they're saying no.
Get out of my...
Honestly, this is good news. I hope they continue to do this, and I hope that Yale gets absolutely clocked by the Trump Justice Department. I think that'd be an excellent and proper way to respond to the trash administration over at Yale. So I asked my friends and sponsors over at Perplexity just how big is Yale's endowment and also how much federal taxpayer money does Yale receive? According to Perplexity, Yale University's endowment stood at $41.4 billion as of June 30th, 2024, making it the second largest university endowment in the United States, only behind Harvard. They have plenty of money. So if they start losing taxpayer money, well, they can just deal with it because, you know what, violation of the Civil Rights Act? Not okay. Actually illegal. As far as federal funding, in fiscal year 2024, Yale received, wait for it, $898.7 million in federal funding. Federal funding to Yale is significant, but it's actually not the leader. Pennsylvania, UPenn, received $1.8 billion. Columbia University, $1.3 billion. Harvard University, $686.5 million in the same period. So yeah, they're vulnerable. And they should be held to account in the same way that Harvard is being held to account. I'm sure the Trump administration is very eager to put its actions on Harvard in practice with Yale as well. Meanwhile, in other news, the Trump administration signed an excellent executive order yesterday to eliminate the use of so-called disparate impact liability. Disparate impact liability is the idea that you can simply discern whether a branch of government or a company, for example, is racist based on the pure numbers of blacks versus whites who get a particular benefit. That if there's a disparate impact of a law or a policy, it must be that the law or the policy is racist. That, of course, is absurd. There are plenty of reasons for disparities in outcome that don't have to do with discrimination. And so the White House, President Trump, signed an executive order restoring equality of opportunity and meritocracy. That's the goal of it. The executive order says, the bedrock principle of the United States is that all citizens are treated equally under the law. This principle guarantees equality of opportunity, not equal outcomes. It promises that people are treated as individuals, not components of a particular race or group. It encourages meritocracy in a colorblind society, not race or sex-based favoritism. Adherence to this principle is essential to creating opportunity, encouraging achievement, and sustaining the American dream. A pernicious movement endangers this foundational principle, seeking to transform America's promise of equal opportunity into a divisive pursuit of results, preordained by irrelevant immutable characteristics, regardless of individual strengths, efforts, or achievement. A key tool of this movement is disparate impact liability, which holds that a near insurmountable presumption of unlawful discrimination exists where there are any differences in outcomes in certain circumstances among different races, sexes, or similar groups, even if there is no facially discriminatory policy or practice or discriminatory intent involved, and even if everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed. This is a great, great move by the Trump administration. Should have been done long ago by Republicans going all the way back to Richard Nixon. Good for President Trump on that score. Again, one of the benefits of the Trump presidency, taking seriously DEI and destroying it. Really, really important stuff. All righty, folks, let's jump into the mailbag. Troy says, hey, Ben, quick question on Derek Chauvin. How can someone be convicted of both second and third degree murder with only one person being killed? Either George Floyd was intentionally killed or it was unintentional. I'm not a lawyer. The more I read about it, the more it doesn't make sense. Well, they deliberately charged multiple different charges in order to get Chauvin convicted. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. Now, it was second degree unintentional murder. It wasn't intentional murder under the second degree murder charge. So there is crossover between second and third degree. However, it is kind of rare to charge multiple charges that cross over that way. Wesley says, hey, Ben, my wife and I are expecting our fourth child this fall. I've got a three-part question. 1, how do you maintain sanity amongst the chaos? 2, do you have any tips for maintaining balance for attention and the care for all your kids? 3, what structures have you and your wife set up to make sure you don't lose sight of the relationship that holds everything together? So 1, maintaining sanity. I mean, a large part of that is getting off social media. Social media will absolutely kill your brain. It'll just fry your brain. Okay? All the neurons will disappear. So you really have to limit your time and engagement. 2, maintaining balance for attention and care of all your kids. I mean, listen, there's always going to be a triage. I got 4 kids. That means that, you know, when the siren goes off for one of the kids, very often that's where the attention shifts. There's almost no way to avoid the squeaky wheel getting more grease. With that said, it has to be a conscious decision that you're going to spend a certain amount of time with every kid every day by themselves. You know, there's something called child-directed interaction my wife and I like to engage in with our kids. That's where basically the kid gets to decide what to do for 15 minutes a day, just one-on-one with the parents. And that seems to work really well. As far as structures to make sure that my wife and I, actually have time, again, these are things you have to plan into your day. It can't just happen by accident. You have to plan going out to dinner. You have to plan going out to lunch. You have to plan, making time for your spouse. If you're not spending enough time alone with your spouse, it's really bad for your marriage. Kyle says, hey, Ben, who in the Trump administration could you see as being a strong nominee for president in 2028 if Vance somehow fell out of favor? I really like Rubio. Could you see Bessent or somebody else? I don't think that Scott is interested in running for president, although I think he's terrific at what he does. Obviously, I think that Marco would be a terrific candidate for president. I thought he was a good candidate for president back in 2016 when he was running. Other members of the cabinet who'd be pretty interesting. I think Pete Hegseth is getting a lot of flack right now, but I think that Hegseth is a fascinating and creative character, and I think it's going to end up that his running of the Pentagon will be very, very beneficial for the United States. I know there's some others in the cabinet who probably have some aspirations in this direction. I think Kristi Noem over at Homeland Security has aspirations in this direction, but again, the two who I like best in the cabinet as far as presidential aspirations would probably be Rubio and Hegseth. Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.